Today we are discussing about evolution of Dbms. In the previous classes we had discussed about data, database and Dbms. Now we are discussing about evolution of Dbms. When the Dbms was found, who invented the Dbms, how the Dbms was developed. So basically file based system was the predecessor to the Dbms. Predecessor means the previous technology. So file based system was the predecessor to the Dbms. Dbms రాకముందు డేటాను స్టోర్ చేయడానికి యూజ్ చేసినటువంటి టెక్నాలజీ వచ్చేసి ఫైల్ బేస్డ్ సిస్టమ్. ఫైల్ బేస్డ్ సిస్టమ్ వాజ్ ద predecessor to the Dbms. Apollo moon landing process was started in the year 1960. At that time there was no system available to handle and manage large amount of information related to Apollo moon landing process. So in that period North American aviation, this North American aviation, which is now popularly known as Rockwell International, developed a software called GUAM. For what? Apollo moon landing process details, to store the details of Apollo moon landing process. NAA was developed a software known as GUAM. The full form of GUAM is Generalized Update Access Method. Later in the mid 1960s, IBM was joined with NAA to develop GUAM into IMS. The full form of IMS is Information Management System. IMS was based on hierarchical model. So hierarchical model. So here hierarchical model was known as a data model. In the next topics we will discuss about data models. In the data models we have 5 data models: hierarchical model, network model, relational model, entity relationship model and object oriented model. Just remember, IMS was based on hierarchical model. In the next topic, in the next classes we will discuss in detail about what is meant by hierarchical model, what is the structure of the hierarchical model. Yes, in the mid 1960s IBM joined with NAA to develop GUAM into IMS. IMS means Information Management System. This IMS was based on hierarchical model. Now in the mid 1960, GE, General Electric, released a software called IDS, Integrated Data Store. IDS was based on network model. IDS was based on network model. See the difference. IMS was based on hierarchical model and IDS was based on network model. For what purpose IDS was developed means it was developed to represent more complex relationships. To represent more complex relationship is not possible in IMS. So that to represent more complex relationship, IDS was developed. IDS was based on network model. Still hierarchical model and network model based IMS and IDS has so many disadvantages and drawbacks. To overcome the drawbacks and disadvantages of the hierarchical model and network model, a different model, a new model was developed by EF Code in 1970. That model is called the Relational Model. To overcome the drawbacks of hierarchical model and network model, in 1970 EF Code was developed a model called Relational Model. Later System R project was developed during late 1970 at IBM San Jose Research Laboratory, California. So the outcome of R project is SQL. The full form of SQL is Structured Query Language. 4th unit and 5th unit we have Oracle. 4th unit we will detail study about SQL, Structured Query Language, and in 5th unit we will detail study about PLSQL. PLSQL. The 4th unit is SQL and 5th unit is PLSQL. The outcome of our project is PLSQL. After few days in 1980, IBM released to commercial RDBMS. RDBMS means Relational Database Management System. Relational Database Management System means a database management system which stores data in the form of relations. Again, what is meant by relation means relation is nothing but a table. Table is the combination of rows and columns in a matrix form. A database management system which stores its data in the form of tables is known as RDBMS. In 1980, IBM released two commercial RDBMS known as DB2 and SQL-DS. Again, in the recent years, two approaches to DBMS are more popular. Those are OODBMS and ORDBMS. OODBMS, Object Oriented Database Management System. ORDBMS, Object Relational Database Management System. So this is the latest procedure of database management system, from file-based system to relational database management system. So this is the evolution of DBMS. File-based system was the predecessor to the DBMS. Apollo moon landing process was started in 1960. To store such large amount of information, NAA was developed a software known as GUAM. In the mid-1960s, IBM joined with NAA to replace GUAM into IMS. IMS was based on hierarchical model. In the mid-1960s, GE released IDS, Integrated Data Store. This integrated data store was based on network model. See the difference. Hierarchical model was developed through GUAM. IMS was developed through hierarchical model and IDS was based on network model. To overcome the drawbacks, still hierarchical model and network model based IDS and IMS has so many disadvantages and drawbacks. To overcome the disadvantages and drawbacks of hierarchical model and network model, a relational model was developed in 1970 by EF Code. Later, System R project was developed during the late 1970s at IBM San Jose Research Laboratory, California. The output or the outcome, the final result of R project is SQL. In 1980, IBM released two commercial RDBMS known as DB2 and SQL-DS. In the recent years, two approaches to DBMS are more popular. Those approaches are OODBMS and ORDBMS. OODBMS stands for Object Oriented Database Management System. ORDBMS stands for Object Relational Database Management System. Okay, so this is the evolution of DBMS.